Hello fellow AFL enjoyers, it's Matty here with another Supercoach video, and we did really bad. We did really bad this week. Unfortunately, we're dropping from top 600 to top 1800, so not ideal. Still in the top 1%, which is pretty good though, but it was a disaster. Before I go into the team, I'll just quickly say no main pod this week. With Easter and this and that, we're a bit too busy. Better because I don't want to talk about the North Melbourne Carlton game. So that works out. Anyway, into the team. Disaster. It was a disaster. So Pryor on the bench, 92. And, Reed and Trainer get 40 between them. The week started poorly when I made the decision to go with Gawn instead of Dacos. And then we didn't end up going with Gawn in the end because of reasons, which I'll go into. But we didn't pick Dacos. Apologies for anyone who went with Gawn, which is what I was leaning towards, and what I was alluding to in the video. Dumb move. He got a 170, and a lot of people captained him, whilst I had Zorko and Ashcroft in that game combined for 110. We started the week on the wrong foot, and it really didn't get too much better, to be honest. I had to field Marias. Whitfield got a 145, being probably the only positive, and holding on to Roberts as well was a positive. But other than that, look, I ended up getting Petrarca instead of Gawn, and the reason being was because before, I'll just confirm, I'm pretty sure it was the game, was it the Friday game? Friday night game, Flynn went crazy, so I'm like, let's leave that spot for Flynn. And by getting Petrarca, we save a bit of money and, it gives us more options to do some stuff. He did okay, a 94. The thing that I'm feeling okay about with him, and we'll go into him, right? I was having a look at Fraser there. We'll go to CBAs for Melbourne, and he's 82% CBAs, and the previous game 65. So he's getting back into the action, and I think, hopefully it should stay that way. And then this week he's got a pretty easy little run here. So if you don't have him, I'd recommend him. He's not the worst option to bring in this week, but there's no real rush. Richmond and West Coast are good, are very good fixtures. So, hopefully we reap the rewards there. Anyway, VC Cheezel got Brayshaw's 120, which is okay, but when everyone got an extra 100 points from their captain being Dacos, it doesn't feel quite right. But anyway, look, we're going to fix this team as we always do. We're going to go into some trades. Now, first of all, this is the trade that's definitely going to happen. Trainer has to go because now his cash gen is just shot. And a guy who will make some cash is Carroll. And I think his job security is okay as well. He seems like a half-decent player. We made him look good, we being North Melbourne. Anyway, so he comes in. Now, there's a few options that we have. I want to get rid of Marias or Nevitt or Gross or Hall, one of those four. It's probably going to be Marias because he's got the most value. Because I don't want to field one of those four. So Marias has to go. Now, with Marias, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with Marias? If we want money, we can just go get a Matt Flynn. And that would be my option. We bank in the cash and we run with that, right? Now, we could do an extra trade, use the boost, but we've only got 470k. And I don't really like the players at our disposal at this price range. It's not really the best. We'll go into mids as well. We might as well. Oh no, we can't go flex. There's not really anyone that I like at that price range, and that's so that kind of ruins. A lot of people are doing Primo and Flynn and Carroll. I can't really do that because at this price, maybe not Dacos. Warple probably he has a decent run, so you could risk it with him, but that's a crazy risk actually. Finn Callahan, we can't go there again. That's just not happening. Look, there is an option. There is an option in the defense, and that's, we'll go by around 6 points. Scroll down all the way down to Tom Stewart. So that's an option. But with what he dished up against Hawks, we're just not sure about him, right? We need to give him a few weeks. I think we've got to give him a couple of weeks to figure out, if he's still got it, which I think he does. But the concern is if we go to the defense versus position, and we go to designated kickers for Geelong, the run is putrid. So am I going to bring in this guy who's not in form? He might be a bit underdone because of injuries, and he's got these fixtures. It just doesn't feel smart. So we're not doing that. And let's say if we don't go Flynn and we do a double downgrade, this is what I'm most likely going to do. Now, if we go price by point, there's a little cheeky James Tunstall here, who, if I don't want to go early on him, but if I did, it frees up the cash where I can atone for my sins and go get Nick Dacos. And let's complete that. We're going to optimize. Yeah, actually, that's fine. The optimizing there is fine, I think. Yeah, so look, we would have... So the rookies on field, Bice, Pryor. Pryor, look, what's his lowest score? It's like a 55 or something, his lowest score. So it's like 50, 54. So I think he's a fine one to just have on the field. Then where would we go? I think I would loop between Lindsay and Nevitt in this case, or not. Nah. I don't like... we could have Lindsay on the field. Between Kako and Nevitt, we would be able to do a little loop between those two. So, or even could loop between Tunstall and Nevitt. So, yeah. So look, if we end up with this, I think this isn't too bad. I don't like going early on Tunstall because there's not much... I don't think there's much options for next week. So if we go into players, price per point, one thing I like to do, because you get some different options. If you go low price and then go round 6 score, Elijah Hewitt, too expensive. I can't do it. He scored 2 goals to get that score. So I just, I think he's a decent pickup if you do go in, but I can't. Will White, I've been advised by Georgie that he'll probably go out once Fantasia comes in. 2 weeks of 50s will get him like 70, 80K. It's not really worth it. I am, a little bit tempted by Spargo. Now with Spargo, 2 easy matchups. If we go to general forward, which is what he is, for Melbourne, it's a nice little run for general forwards. Really just the Richmond and West Coast. Hawks and Brizzy probably won't do that well. But he managed to get, if we go to fantasy stats, he managed to get a 70 with 0 goals. Against Richmond, maybe he gets a goal or 2. And then, he can maintain a 70 or get maybe an 80 even, Now, let's just say he got a 65 for the next 2. If he gets 65, around a 70, 80K. So even with him, it's not really... You're not really making a huge amount of cash, but I think the job security is there for Spargo. Like, they did pick him over Bedford, so they got to put a little bit of faith in the guy. So he's more of a this week thing, right? He's more of a this week player. What was I looking at? Yeah, players for next week. The only one who played 1 game who we're interested in is Tunstall. Oscar McDonald's going to get dropped because he was just playing as a fill-in ruck. There was another one who made his debut too. Again, I'm going to do that. Where was the other guy? Fullerton, 32. Not really what we're looking for. Jonty Fall this week could be an option. Yeah, so it's not much for next week, and that's why I don't really want to go Tunstall early because he could fail anyway. So it's either he could either fail, and if he doesn't fail, then I don't have a trading option for next week. So that's the concern with going early on Tunstall. But the good thing with going early on Tunstall is that I get Dacos. And I'll just show you that there's at 125, there's no other options. There's Tom Cochran. I think he might have okay job security, but I don't know how much this guy's going to go up, man. Look, he gets a solid amount of game time and he's done nothing. Let's go 45. Once he go up, they'll get up to 200k eventually. You know, and this is a guy with varying job security, Tom Cochran. And if I do get Tom Cochran, I just end up with another one of these Hall, Nevitt, Gross types who just sit there and, one of them has to go on the field and that's uncomfortable. So Cochran's not an option. So really, yeah, again, there's nothing. If I go, let's go into the flex position and see what else is available. Sandy Brock, nah. Camperelli. Let's do players I can afford. Best score. Hamish Davis. There's not much. Hines. There's really nothing, unfortunately. So, yeah. So, look, I'll probably have to go early on Tunstall if I want Dacos. If we don't want Dacos, and the guy I was talking about earlier, we go get him. Where is he? Spargo. We go get Spargo. Then we got 585k, which is still a decent amount of coin to play with. Players we can afford. And Raul is available. I'm not overly keen on Raul. I don't think his run is the best either. If we look at his run. Sydney, tough. Oh no. Inside mid. Gold Coast. It's not the best run. But in saying that, James Jordan probably goes to Noah Anderson, most likely. But then who knows? They might just throw a curveball and just go, oh, Raul's been the most dominant. We'll chuck him on him. He could go to Took Miller as well. Brizzy, he could do well against Brizzy. Bulldogs, tough matchup. Hawks, tough matchup. Saints. So it's not the best matchup. The guy who does have good matchups, though, if we go to Hawkland, very good matchups there, is Jai Newcomb. And this is probably the guy I'd go with if I don't go with Dacos and I don't want to go Tunstall. This is probably what I would go with. I think the cool thing with Newcomb is let's just complete that. How many percentage? Well, the percentage of teams having Newcomb must be super low. So we have a little, where is it? 3% of teams. So it's a huge pod. And without Will Day, and with the good run that he has, I think he's a great option, to be honest with you. Like, let's have a little look at his scores from last season. Where do we have a player summary? Let's get him up. So he ended the season ridiculously, man. Like, there's a few mid games in there, but that end part was just crazy. When the games matter, he steps up. Even if we just look at his last, even if you look at those 4 games there, not including opening round, he's averaging 111, and those are the Supercoach scores. Opening round doesn't really matter. So, who did he have his bad games against? Essendon and Sydney. Did he cop tags? Essendon? I don't think he did. Nothing. They went to Will Day. And Sydney. I doubt he would have copped the tag from Sydney. No way. No. So, what are we looking at? No, they don't have the round zero information there. GWS? Did he have a tag from GWS? Surely not. Surely not. They would have tagged Will Day like they always do. And I don't think... No, they did. Tagged by Bedford and freed up in the fourth quarter. Who'd have thought? So, John Newcomb could be on. The only thing with him is that he becomes the main tag target. Now, Melbourne looked like they were going to start tagging. We're going to have a look back to this. Merritt and Holmes tagged, but they didn't tag last week. They didn't tag last week, but it wasn't against the good team, was it? Who'd they beat? Oh, no, they beat Freo. Interesting that they didn't tag. So, Gold Coast don't tag, Brisbane don't tag. Collingwood don't tag unless they send Perryman to him or something. Richmond kind of have Taranto as a run with player, but I think Newcomb would just be a beast and just shrug him off and it wouldn't matter. So look, this is another thing that I'm thinking. I'll probably just bite the bullet and just get Tunstall early and go with Nakes. Like what could go wrong? What could go wrong is he gets tagged every week. Essendon managed to nullify him, but I don't think it's too bad. I really don't think it's too bad. And then if we can't do any downgrades next week, then I guess no upgrades. It is what it is. And then hopefully, my hope eventually, so maybe in a couple weeks' time. So if he gets up to 320, that'd be lovely for Pryor. And then where's Levi? Levi's there. Levi might go to 360. We could get very close to a Jack Sinclair there, is what I'm thinking. It might need, maybe a Hall to go down or a Nevitt or Gross, whatever, to just get that little bit of extra cash. But in 2 or so weeks' time, we can go get Jack Sinclair. And that's what I'm thinking. How was he sort of expected? 573. Let's go 110s. 550 if he goes 110s. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe next week I have to take an L and no upgrades and, it is what it is. But yeah. Anyway, that's what I think I'm going to do. And I'll probably change my mind, but, depending on what the teams are looking like. Let's fix it up the way it was earlier. It's nice to have a complete forward line. That's pretty sweet. That's nice. And then Tunstall emergency. And the rookie situation, Bryce Pryor, Lindsay, potentially Tunstall, and Levi Ashcroft. They're not the worst rookies to have on field, I think. They could hold their own. Anyway, we're going to do a little Draftland detour. And this is where I did get some positives from last week. Because in the big clash between Dino and Matter, I somehow won. This is whenever I move to Draftland, we get nice and slow. Now look at this, right? So I on the Sunday end the day with 2 50s, right, from Wines and Steele, and also Horn Francis missed 2 set shots. And Dino didn't have to chase. He didn't have to chase too many points, but Sicily, Stewart, and Moore, especially Moore, they just shit the bed. So even Wood the day before. So look, tough luck, Dino. Even with a 164 from Butters, Nick Martin comes up, and we're going to hand him the medal, the Tortoise v North medal. Where does that leave us on the ladder now? Let's have a little look. Puts us in the top 4. Dino, we've handed him his first L. Now it's just MA Lakers up there on the top, just chilling. But we're coming for you, mate. We're coming for you. A few teams on on 3 wins. You know, a little competitive. Georgie's winning all of a sudden. Georgie's good at draft. I can't believe it. This is the world is like upside down. Like I guess we're in Australia, but like something's gone wrong, Matt. It's a shame that he picks up Draper and then he goes and does his ACL. Oh, sorry, his Achilles. That sucks. But I guess Rochelle will come back in the next couple of weeks. He's got a solid squad, man. He's got a solid squad. Nicky Dacos coming back. The midfield's all solid. Picks up Setterfield off the waivers, and you know, all of a sudden he's a solid, you know, CBA mid. Got Millsy coming back. You know, the only thing is 47 from Flanders, mate. I don't know, mate. You want to do a little change, a little swap, maybe Archie Roberts for Flanders, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, fixture. We got Hock Tour next, man. We got cheeky Jimmy. Now I want to click into his team. So what's Jimmy's team looking like? Why am I doing it like this? Jimmy's team is actually pretty good, to be honest with you. He just did a big trade to get in Newcomb and Ash, and I think Short as well. So he brought in 3 very solid players, and the forward line's a little bit lacking, I would say. But otherwise, it's a pretty solid team, man. Pretty solid. Strong midfield. He's got Will Day, who he's holding on to for dear life. I don't know. I might have to pry him out of his hands if I can. Bont just comes back and goes crazy. So now he comes back. I see how it works. He comes back right when it's my time to verse him. But anyway, shout out Jimmy. Back to classic. Yeah, look, probably bring in Dacos. It is what it is. And then for captains, we'll talk about captains quickly. I get to put Dacos as captain. I get to put him as a VC. And then as the captain, who are we doing? Who are we doing as captain? Maybe, look, Adelaide don't really tag. Maybe they'll have Peatling running with someone. If Peatling's back, I don't know. Is he still suspended? I have no idea. Other than that, I'm not really comfortable with anyone. Maybe Whitfield again. Maybe Captain Witters. What did he get against? He got a 153 last time against them at Mars Stadium, which I think this is where... Is this game at Mars as well? Monaco. What's Mars Stadium? What the hell's Mars? Eureka Stadium. Is that different to... Is Ballarat Showgrounds? Manuka. That's the Canberra one. All right, that makes sense. All right, they're 2 different ones. Yeah, I don't know if we go with field captain. That's a bit uncomfortable. Hopefully Dacos does the biz and we don't have to worry about it. Other than that, captain options: Horn Francis against North, Rosie against North. That's not the worst. Maybe we'll just stick the C on Brayshaw for now. That'll be safe. Yeah. Anyway, that's what we're thinking of doing. If you got this far in the vid, thank you for watching. Apologies if you followed my Gorn advice last week. Yeah, don't listen to me, man. Don't listen to me. It's I guess some takes are going to be good, some takes are going to be bad. That was a big L on my end. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Good luck with your trades, and see you on the next one.